Okay, here we go. Joining me now, Kathy Barnette. Welcome to the Alec Show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I wanted to kind of get your take first up on this clip that went viral from CNN. Obviously, we have the debate. All the talk this week is now about the debate that's going to take place on CNN between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Yes.
And so Caroline Lovett is a spokesperson for Donald Trump. She went on CNN, and before she could even speak, she was shut down by Cassie Hunt, who was just saying, "Oh, you can't tell the truth on my network." She had to shut
Right.
her down, and she was just talking facts that Jake Tapper has made these comparisons about Trump to Hitler. So, what was your take on that?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, like, these are the same people, CNN, MSNBC, and others, who are constantly chastising us about the need to save our democracy. We all know we're a republic, but they're constantly talking about saving our democracy. Well, freedom of the press is one, and freedom of speech is one of the first five rights in the First Amendment. And our founders thought that it was so important that we have a free press that allows for people to put out facts to help educate our people, that they didn't make it a part of the Second or the Third Amendment, but that they made it a part of the First Amendment. So talk about the destruction of our democracy when you have those, i.e. the press, who's supposed to create an environment where people are informed, where voters know what is really going on. But when you go on their show, on their platform, and you begin to speak truth, well, they don't want to hear about that. They just want to toss that to the side and continue to chastise us about the fear of somebody nefariously, some manufactured people who are trying to destroy their democracy. But in fact, it is them. They are the ones. This media, many within our federal government who are weaponizing our laws, Joe Biden himself, they are destroying our country.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Kathy. And you watch the clip, and you could just see her kind of like hyperventilating towards the end there, like she's so nervous about what's going on. I don't know if there's people in her ear telling her, "You got to cut this, you got to cut this," but it's like I
I'm
think they're
sure.
trying to do damage control because they don't want their audience to hear this side of the story because they're only allowed to preach to one side of the story. I mean, if anybody that now here's the thing too, Kathy, very few people are watching CNN anymore at all. Their ratings are terrible. So if she would have kind of just allowed Caroline to speak and just say her piece and then move the interview along, fewer people would have seen this. The fact that she cut her off, cut her mic, censored her, now the clip has gone viral and millions of more eyeballs are on it. I think by trying to censor, it made it so much worse for them.
Yeah, and we see that often with them, right? I mean, like, they're trying to destroy Donald Trump's credibility. So what do? They manufacture 34 bookkeeping errors into a federal crime, and it does the exact opposite with the people. The people now see there's something wrong when you have bookkeeping errors now being, added up and turned into a felony case. But it was something that you said there, is that, the fact that they don't want people to hear the truth, and the reality that CNN has the lowest television ratings, it begins to make you wonder, maybe they're not in the business of creating or garnering a lot of viewers or bringing a lot of viewers to their television show. Perhaps they have another reason for existing, of constantly pushing these false narratives that is having an impact on our culture.
And here, just what you're saying there with CNN, like almost as if like they're not doing anything to attract the viewers. It's almost as if they're trying to sabotage themselves to get viewers to not watch. And that reminds me of, like, you see this with Disney. Disney is putting out movies knowing that they are going to fail. There's no way they're in the script room
No
going,
one's
"Hey, if
watching it.
this," and no one's watching. So they're self-sabotaging. We've seen this with UGG, the company that just they partnered with a pervert during Pride Month. Bud Light, we saw. It's like these companies are making decisions knowing they're going to fail, but they're doing them anyway. And it wonders, where is their money coming from? Some other source that you're
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice everything for it?
I think you're hovering over something right there, right? Because, my background is corporate finance. I was an adjunct professor of corporate finance, worked in the financial industry with the buy side and sell side companies. And rule number one is that the job of a corporation, of those who are managing, the CEOs and the executive suite, their number one priority is to maximize profits for their shareholders specifically. But then now you layer on top of that this ESG, DEI, all of these narratives. It's not about maximizing shareholder profits any longer. It is about something much more nefarious. It is about pushing a particular ideology, a particular worldview at the sacrifice of their fiduciary responsibility to maximize shareholder, those people like you and I who take our hard-earned dollars and we invest in these stocks for a piece of that American pie. They are sacrificing that, using your word, sabotaging, self-sabotaging the ability, knowing that Disney putting out movies that they know parents are not going to take their little ones to watch. CNN doing things. This morning, I woke up to another viral clip from CNN where someone said illegal aliens, and the host stopped them and said, no, we don't use that word. We call them undocumented. They are pushing a narrative, and they don't care if you're watching them. They're pushing a narrative, and that narrative is more important than their fiduciary responsibility of bringing value to the people who actually own those particular companies.
Yeah, well said. And now we're seeing more and more illegal immigrants that are murdering, raping young girls,
they don't
12,
care.
13, and they don't even care. They're not even broadcasting the show because it kills their narrative. They're like, oh no, these are the people that Donald Trump was talking about. And that's why they don't want to play the clip, because like, that makes Donald Trump appear right, because he was telling you these are who's coming into the country. And now we're seeing it. I mean, there's so many people that have been murdered, raped by the illegal immigrants, and they have to shove that down in the press. They can't exploit that, because if they do, it shows how hypocritical they are. Now, real quick, I wanted to turn this over to Philadelphia rally that Trump did over the weekend.
Yeah.
You ran for Senate there in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a state. Now, Philadelphia is a city that has 72 years in a row has had Democratic mayor. It's been ruled by Democrats for 72 years, and it's in a terrible shape. Yes, but they're trying to say, we'll never vote for Donald Trump, and they're trying to go around and show people, oh, we hate Donald Trump. You don't want change. The whole city has gone on a downward spiral. What is the reason why a city like Philadelphia wouldn't say, hey, we need change, we need it drastically, and we need it now?
Well, I believe they are. Hence the reason why Donald Trump's rally in Philadelphia was packed. The opposite of what many on the left is saying, that it wasn't packed. No, it was larger than what Biden had just a couple of weeks before. And so why is that? And I've been saying this for many years now. Black people are not special little unicorns. We want what everyone else wants. What do you want? Do you want safe schools? Do you want safe streets? Do you want your child ducking and dodging bullets just to go outside and cross the street? No, of course not. And now the only person outside of Vivek Ramaswamy that I've seen who've ever actually made an effort of going into these particular Democrat strongholds is Donald Trump. And the rest of the GOP needs to take a page out of that book, is that I believe there are those within the Black community who are open to hearing our message. But think about it for a moment. If your only diet is CNN, as you and I just finished talking about, who suppressed the truth, and MSNBC, if that's your daily diet, and the only thing that they're telling you, feeding you every day, is that Republicans are racist, Republicans are trying to kill you, Republicans are trying to take you back into slavery, if that's your only diet, then obviously you need people who are willing to step across Republicans are very comfortable in our little bubbles, but to step out of that bubble and to walk into those particular communities and to let them know truly what in the hell do you have to lose right now by doing something different, by voting different than what you've always voted. And so I believe Blacks in these predominantly blue cities like Philadelphia are open to voting for someone other than a Democrat. I don't know if they're ready to do it, but I believe that what Donald Trump is doing, going into these particular historically heavily Democrat territory, going in and presenting a different vision, I think that is our path. And so I give him kudos for that.
And we did see, like, when he went up to the Bronx to have a rally, we saw Trump being himself and promising the same thing that he promises to every American. He did it in the Bronx as well. When you saw just over the weekend AOC and Jamal Bowman go in there, they put on a whole pretend show like they're rappers. They're up there trying to be hip hop artists.
Doing it all.
It almost reminded me of the Chuck Schumer putting cheese on a raw burger, trying to say like, hey, I'm one of you guys. I know how to barbecue and you clearly don't. It was the same thing. Like the Democrats are trying to act like they're one of you, even though you could clearly see these aren't one of, you're not one of us. Donald Trump doesn't try to do that. Donald Trump is secure in who he is. And here's what he offers for you and for your neighborhood and for your family and for your business. And that's his message that he hammers home. And I think it's so much more authentic and genuine than what we're hearing from the left.
Absolutely, right? Or when you ask Hillary Clinton, what do you carry in your purse? And she pulls out hot sauce. Everybody knows Hillary Clinton's not walking around with a bottle of hot sauce. I'm Black. I'm not walking around with a bottle of hot sauce. Nobody does that. That is ridiculous. And so, and before, when I think people were, living their own lives, doing their own thing, and they were a little bit more susceptible to being manipulated, I think that time has passed for some, not all, but for some people. This particular time, the voters who will be going into the ballot box or sending in their mail-in ballot this November, they are a tale of two cities, a time period of two nations, right? We have the 4 years Donald Trump was in office when inflation, when he handed it over to Joe Biden, was at 1.8%. And now you have today where you're paying, $5 for three hot dogs. Or, when gas, I remember gas being $1.82. And now, I have to think about, where I'm going to go get my gas from this particular time. People now, when under Donald Trump, when we did not have wars and rumors of wars, and now we have a Russian nuclear submarine just 40 miles from the coast of Florida, right? And the world is literally going to hell in a handbasket. You can't even say what a woman is any longer. This is the tale of two nations, right? And so a lot of people who were, quite frankly, gullible in 2020, when they did or did not cast that vote for Biden, now they will be going in November, actually being able to look back and asking the question, was my life better when Donald Trump and his version of America was in office versus today under Biden? And I think we're going to see a lot more, ridiculous antics from the Democrat Party as they try to get people to not look at reality, but to look at some manufactured version of reality.
That's the truth, Kathy. They want you to look at the show, right? Everything is a staged event for them. It's all pre-scripted. And I'll tell you what, they're good at what they do, because the propaganda machine they had revved up against Trump, the fact that they shut down and censored the Hunter Biden laptop, they won. I mean, they won the battle because they were able to get their propaganda out first and shut down the opposition. And that's why now at least Elon Musk has a hold of Twitter, where people have a chance now to get an opposite opinion. Rumble is available now. They're starting to get other sources to go to for information. And it is an information war. I mean, Alex Jones called it that, like him or not. He's right. It's an information war. If you can't get the information, you have no chance to make it an educated opinion on a matter. And they have controlled the information for so long. And now finally we have an opportunity to fight back and now let the people decide which one they believe in to be the future for the country.
We often applaud those who exhibit self-control, control of their own will, control of their own behaviors. But what these Marxists have shown us over the past 4 years is that controlling their own narratives is not enough for them. They want ultimate power. And what is more ultimate than me not only being able to control and censor my thoughts, but me being able to control and censor your thoughts as well, right? And we saw them do that in 2020 and on, with them telling people, shut up, sit down. And a lot of people bent the knee to that. I think you have a number of people who probably who did bend the knee in 2020, or who was walking around using people's preferred pronoun, have looked at the cost of all of this shenanigan. And I believe you have more people today who are willing to stand up and say the emperor has no clothes on, who are no longer willing to just shut up, sit down, and be quiet, but that they're looking for that piece of self-determination, which of course is what our nation was founded upon. My ability not only to think a thought, but the right to be able to say that thought out loud. So I think as we continue on between now and November, Democrats are going to pull out a lot of antics. I think China is going to have a role to play in all of this as well. Like I said, Russia has nuclear submarine, right, 40 miles from the coast of Florida. So I think you're going to have a lot of people putting their hands into the bucket. It is now that if you're going to stand up and speak truth and fight for your nation, it is now, not tomorrow, that we need to gird up our loins, so to speak, and begin to speak truth right now.
Yeah, beautifully said, Kathy. And I think there is an awakening going on. A lot of people have woken up to the fact that they've been. I think the pandemic did that as well. A lot of people woke up to the fact that they were lied to about so much stuff going on during that. So I really do think. But no, again, I agree that November we're going to see some craziness in the next 4 months. That's going to happen, especially from the left. And one more thing before I get to your podcast to get you out of here, I think Vivek Ramaswamy. I know you were the senior advisor during his campaign. Nobody's stock in politics has risen more than Vivek Ramaswamy's over the last year. I mean, I thought his campaign was absolutely brilliant. And I think the best part of it was that, I interviewed Vivek right when he announced he was running for president. And I asked him about, running up against Donald Trump, or what would it be like if you had to debate Donald Trump? And right from the dribble, he praised Donald Trump and said, hey, Donald Trump's the reason I'm running. Like he's never taken the attack mode against Trump. He's never tried to go after Donald Trump. It was a smart move to do from the beginning. And I think he's a big asset to Trump right now. You being involved so closely with Vivek, where do you see him fitting? Provided we get Trump into the office, where do you see him fitting into the puzzle there, into the administration with Donald Trump? Because he's such a valuable asset to have.
Well, he absolutely is, right? And if the Republican Party wanted to stop being a party of losers, then Donald Trump will certainly put Vivek up front and center, because I believe him and his brand of just speaking the truth unapologetically, without being brass about it, but just like, these are the facts. I think this is the direction we want to take America first and make it America great again strategy after 2028. And so if the Republican Party is sick and tired of being a loser, which I know the grassroots is, I mean, I'm tired of losing elections. We should be losing, diluting our values. Then absolutely, Vivek should be a centerpiece of whatever the plan is. Unfortunately, and we have to speak truth, Donald Trump is not known for his HR decisions. And so I am, and nor those that he endorsed. So I am hoping we have better people who will be in his ears, who are guiding. I know a couple of them. I feel hopeful. Caroline Leavitt is an amazing asset to be on Donald Trump's team. So I am hopeful that Vivek, whatever his role is, he would do it well, and our nation would be better served as a result of it.
Yeah, well said. And you're right. The biggest problem that Trump had was the people that he surrounded himself by in that first White House administration, the people that were out there, snakes in the grass. And it wasn't like these people got around Trump and then turned against Trump. These were people that never liked Trump from the beginning.
Never liked him anyway, and he endorsed them.
Yep. So it was very tough to watch. So hopefully, I think he's learned a lesson there, and will definitely have himself with some strong people like Vivek. So, Kathy Barnette, you got the podcast going on. Tell the listeners here what the podcast is, where they can find it, who you got coming up next.
Yeah, listen, Zuby is coming up next. An amazing interview with the artist, the rapper, the social commentator Zuby will be coming on. That show will hit this Thursday. I'm very excited about that. And I have a number of other people. Yourself, you were on my podcast, as well as Vivek's mom, and many, many others. I mean, now is the time to get around those who are willing to speak truth. Many within our industry on the conservative side have, they've learned the art of monetizing impressions, and it has not helped us one bit over these past 8 years. If we're going to continue to move the America First movement forward using conservative principles, we have to begin to listen to better people who are actually willing to, when times were tough, speak truth, and who are willing to continue to speak that truth. That's what my podcast is all about. You can find it anywhere you listen to your podcast: YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Rumble. Go there and listen.
It's awesome. I got the link to your podcast down there in the description below. I love how articulate you are. I'd love to have you back on any time. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Show.
Thank you. Blessings.